Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call our meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, January 8th, 2013. We're in the village boardroom. We have a village board meeting followed by a committee of the whole meeting. Our second item here is our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Booth, would you please call the roll?
Present.
Mr. Novak?
Present.
Mr. Perry?
Present.
Mr. Sloan?
Present.
Mr. Stecker?
Present.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Present.
Mr. Pouliot?
Present. We do have a quorum this evening. And I guess Happy New Year is in order for everyone that's on the board here and all of our guests and staff today as well. Under presentations, we have the swearing in of Brian Karatko, Westchester Fire and Police Commission member. So if Brian wouldn't mind stepping up to the middle. Support the Constitution of the United States.
Constitution of the United States.
Constitution of the State of Illinois.
Constitution of the State of Illinois.
Faithfully discharge the duties
Faithfully discharge the duties
as a member of the Westchester Fire and Police Commission
of a member of the Westchester Fire and Police Commission
to the best of your ability.
to the best of my ability. So help me.
Welcome aboard.
Okay. What do you swear him in?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, you're not going to make him stay for the meeting?
Actually, Brian attended the Police and Fire Commission meeting last night with our commission members and was well received by Ruth and Jesse as well. And I think the commission's going in the right direction. We have the right people involved in that, so we've made some wise choices. So thank you. Item number B, presentation of the audit for fiscal year ending April 30th, 2012. There you go. Ann will do the introductions, please.
This is Dan Burke, partner with Sickage out of Naperville. They completed the work on the village's 2011-12 fiscal year audit. So I think you all had a copy of that to review. He's available to address any questions or thoughts right now.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to address the board. As you know, I work for the board. I work with staff, but I work for the board. So I'm available for questions at any time, but most especially tonight. That said, I have the best news I'm allowed to give. As an auditor, the only portion of this report that's truly Sickage's, the firm's, is the opinion. And the opinion is what's commonly referred to as a clean opinion. It states that the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position and results of operations for the year ended April 30th, 2012. It's the best opinion we're allowed to give. If you haven't had a chance to go through it completely, I highly recommend that you begin with the transmittal letter and management discussion and analysis that kind of bookend our opinion. They're both written by staff. They give a nice synopsis of the year. The management discussion and analysis gives a comparison between this year's and last year's. And then the other section of the report that most of my elected officials really appreciate is the statistical section, which gives you a lot of trend information on a 10-year basis, compares current year all the way back for 10 years. It's very handy to see where you've been, give you an indication of where you're going. The audit went pretty well this year. We did come up with a few recommendations for staff. And the financial statements reflect that the general fund had a negative $500,000 year, and that was pretty much the impetus, as I understand it, for the sales tax, non-home rule sales tax that was needed. Other than that, the water fund had a positive year, and those are the two big ones. The IMRF, the police pension, and the fire pension, always the hottest topics at the board meetings that I've attended. The IMRF has been significantly affected by the downturn in the economy. The net assets were significantly reduced in 2008, and because IMRF uses a 5-year smoothing, that downturn will stick with you for the next 2 years at least, as the economy slowly seems to be coming back a little bit. So that has definitely negatively impacted your funding on that. On the other hand, the fire and the police were not nearly as negatively affected, and actually are ahead of the curves, so to speak, when compared to a lot of the other villages. Both of them are over 70% funded as of the last actuarial evaluation. Police at 72 and fire at 78. They really haven't changed that much in the last 6 years like the IMRF has. Nothing the village can do pretty much about the IMRF other than fund it according to what the IMRF asks. Kind of gives you a quick 30,000-foot view of the finances. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the process, about the product here, or anything else related to the item.
Does any board person have any questions? Wally?
Yeah, I just do have a question. Your opinion on the material weakness section of your communication?
Mm-hmm.
How do you view that?
How do I view it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just concerned. Some issues pointed out, and is that a major concern? Is it being handled by management?
Well, we are required to report to the board items that we feel are important enough that we deem material weakness. Those items could negatively impact the village's ability to produce financial statements that are free from material misstatement. That's the definition of material weakness. We needed to bring that to your attention, and management did respond in here with a response, and in my opinion, management is moving forward, correcting those. The things that we've seen since year-end are positively correcting those issues, and some of them is just a matter of getting caught up and staying caught up. So with the more stable staff, knock on wood, the village will be able to address those and continue to address those. Since my audit stopped at April 30, I'm not really sure the exact status of progress since then.
Any other questions? Brian?
In your in the audit report, you're referencing the GASB 54, indicating that it's adopted during the year April 30th, 2012. In your excuse me, communication to the board, it indicates that we are currently not. It says financial statements, disclosures, with the exception of implementation of Statement 54. So I'm just confused on that. If we
The village was required to implement 54. I'm sorry. What you're referring to is the qualitative aspects of accounting practices on page 2 of the board's
Correct.
communication. What we meant by that is things were consistent with the exception of that. So we needed to note something that would change.
But that was anticipated based on the adoption of the statement?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. We just wanted to make sure that the board was aware that that was implemented, and therefore that particular section of the fund balance on the governmental balance sheet would not be comparable to the prior
To prior year.
Because the nomenclature and descriptions have changed significantly since the prior year.
Okay. Under other audit findings and issues, you're basically going over the discussions you'd have with management prior to retention. One, my question would be, why didn't that occur prior to retention, and will that be corrected if you are retained for the next year?
I don't think that's exactly what we mean here, trustee.
What page you on, Brian?
I'm on page 3 of the communication to the board.
I think what we meant was that discussion of issues were not a condition to our retention. And because we're returning firm, I wasn't on the prior year auditors. I'm new as the lead partner, but so therefore we had already had enough background history with the village to know that you met our criteria for being a client and that we wanted you as a client, and we weren't aware of any issues that would preclude us or you from having a mutually agreeable relationship.
Okay, because the way this is written, it says with management teacher prior to retention, specifically notes prior to retention, and basically saying, however, you've addressed these through normal course.
Right.
So I guess that's my question. If it hasn't happened prior to retention, is you're indicating is your general or normal accepted practice, will that change? Will we move into having these addressed, if there are any, prior to a retention?
We do normally have discussions with clients during the course of the year and discuss the issues that would affect the audit. And as I said, because of the relationship that we've had with you in the past, we didn't need to do that in addition to the normal course of conversations.
Okay. On page 11, it's in your item number 2, in relation to a deficiency in the locus system. In your experience, is there a fix available through that software? I know you guys are, you know, there's a recommendation for a new accounting system. Are you aware in your experience if that's available through that software?
That's a tricky one. Not being a software consultant or a code writer, so to speak, I don't know.
And I was just looking from the standpoint that you're discussing implementing a new software as opposed to, you know, potentially examining an upgrade to the existing one. So I looked at that as as a professional recommendation that this one wasn't, may not be compatible.
Yeah, we said consider. The Locus may very well have a fix for that. One of the issues is the way it interacts with your payroll outsource provider and how the recording of that payroll could be mechanized perhaps or some other way electronically transmitted as opposed to manually entered, and that did have an impact on the cash reconciliations.
Yeah, I did see that in the appendix there, and noted management's response. It seems to didn't necessarily completely address the issue, as there were some, you indicated in a previous comment that there was a manual adjustment that was made that was incorrect, that was not related to payroll. But I was just curious as far as, that particular comment that you guys made.
Best case scenario, the more automation you can have in the cash disbursement, cash receiving processes, the fewer chances there are for error if the automation is done correctly.
With regard to the receivables, did you guys make any recommendations as far as actually writing off any balances that were outstanding as of April 30th?
We talked about reserving some of the items. Many of the miscellaneous receivables immaterial and simply need to be addressed. We wouldn't recommend a journal entry for nominal dollar amounts and therefore didn't.
Bear with me one more minute. Under deficiencies, item number 5, I believe it was actually fiscal year 2011, in which case we expanded upon the requested services of Sikich to review this matter and determine if there was a full forensic audit was necessary. I don't recall ever receiving any documentation on that. Is there a report available in addressing that specific issue?
I believe we issued what we refer to as an agreed upon procedures report. It occurred after fiscal year 4/30/12 that it was issued. I can get you a copy of that. I'm almost certainly.
I'll
sure.
see that if you don't have a copy for your records, I will forward that.
I'm not sure the exact date that we released it.
Okay, I just knew it related to fiscal year 11, so. Okay.
I believe the majority of that work was done during fiscal 12.
The corrections of it, yes. Well, that's kind of why I was looking for that. And then just in the comparative data from the Village of Westchester compared to benchmarks and the per capita comparisons, obviously the benchmark, I'm assuming is some type of average that they're presenting. Comparatively to your other clients, Westchester, is over on our expenses. We have a trend of being over on expenses and short on revenue. Is that the same thing that you're experiencing in the other municipalities? And second, did you look into or was any analysis done as far as explaining the significant increase in per capita revenue from 2011 to 2012?
Yes, definitely. When auditing the general fund revenues, we do a lot of confirmation with the state, especially in the county, your two largest suppliers of revenue, as well as a number of other tests regarding revenue. So that was examined very carefully during the course of our audit. The trends, if you will, of looking against the benchmark. We audit over 350 governmental entities throughout the state. We scour websites and to get to the benchmark numbers, we enter a couple hundred CAFRs, comprehensive annual financial reports of municipalities. So we're going throughout the state. So the peer group isn't necessarily Westchester size. It's just the average. Village of Westchester has compared to a number of our clients, much fewer funds. We have a number of clients with far more special revenue funds. Therefore, I would expect your per capita expenses to be slightly higher here than, say, even in Oak Park, perhaps, simply because Oak Park has so many funds, as an example. So they spread their costs away from the general fund. As far as costs, revenues, because, again, you have relatively few funds, you concentrate the major revenue sources within the general fund. Other municipalities may spread that. Some of, for instance, the non-home rule sales tax or income taxes, allocate those to a capital project fund.
So you would anticipate seeing a higher general fund revenue per capita,
Right.
because we have the segregation, and the fact that we're lower is kind of counterintuitive.
Correct.
Okay.
So one of the things that we use this as a tool is to assist our clients in using our GSTAT services to further drill down into this. We can provide a little bit more
Yeah, we don't need it now, but if I get just an overview of what that increase, covering what that increase is, because we have a steady decline from '09 to 10 to 11, and all of a sudden we have a spike into 2012. That's all I have. Thank you.
I just, one question, you talked about a number of municipalities that you audit for. And I know, being in the front office as much as I am, the complaints that I hear, or what Locust can do or can't do, or when we ask for something, there has to be some new code or something written so we can access the data that the board needs. How many of the clients are using that software, or have they gone on to something bigger and better that will do all the needs for the majority of the communities that you represent? Not that you're a salesman for anybody.
I'm not. We don't have, you're definitely in the minority when it comes to software. Locust has been around quite a while, and many of our clients have migrated away from it to more robust systems, more web-based systems, more database-driven systems that are perhaps are written on a different platform, for one thing. We're seeing a number of newer systems in the last 8 years, where there's been a few new players or upgrades to old systems. So I will warn you that I don't have any clients that say they love their software system. I have clients that recommend theirs over what they had in the past. It can be very daunting, the cost. If you go to certain ones, it'd be over $500,000. I did have a client in the past year keep it under $100,000, but that's the ballpark that we're talking for an ERP system that would include water billing and items like that. You already outsource your payroll, so that would, if you maintain that would perhaps reduce some of the costs. But if you wanted the whole system with all the bells and whistles, we're probably talking 6 digits.
You have any clue how many use Locust at all?
I have 4 clients out of my 39 that are on Locust, and you're the biggest.
We're the biggest.
Yeah.
Do you,
Most employees
is there any
by population.
impediment as you're trying to put your pieces together because we have this type of system?
What we do is we extract, or staff emails us the electronic version of the trial balances for our import, and then what we ask the staff to do is give us an electronic version of the general ledger and various pieces along the way. It's not exportable as quickly as some systems into Excel perhaps, or items of that nature, but we're able to get what we need. I'm not sure the hoops that staff have to jump through to get us those items, if it's difficult or if it's cumbersome, or exactly how time consuming it is to prepare for our audit. I do know that on some of our clients that we have a interface to the general ledger with read-only rights in the room that we're auditing from, and we actually go into the software and extract information ourselves. We don't do that.
Thank you. Wally,
Yeah,
question?
I just actually one question, and kind of directing this at more staff. 2 of the items, the miscellaneous receivables and the bank reconciliations, if we can get an action item from staff on how we're going to handle, I would think probably the bank reconciliations and non-timely performance of bank reconciliations may have led to the one journal entry that was done. So I would at least like to know, how we're going to do the miscellaneous receivables. When we're talking about receivables and we're talking about setting up an allowance, that tells me that at least a dollar amount is now on the red flag mark. It's not just something that we don't worry about it. Now that it moved to setting up an allowance, so I would at least how a process that how we're going to minimize our aged receivables. So if we can get some type of plan together on that, and the fact that bank reconciliations being done on a monthly, at least reading this report, that they're being monthly and signed off on, I think is important too.
Ryan?
Just to touch on that, with the receivables, they weren't reconciled as of 12/30 or 4/30/12. Are they reconciled today?
They are not currently reconciled. We have an immaterial variance with the general ledger balance. Part of the problem is with the Locus software, the receivables that post automatically are not clearing through that system on a regular basis. And quite frankly, when we have had a lot of staff turnover in the finance department, and the individual who had been assigned for invoicing and reconciling receivables has been on workers' compensation leave since March. So we are having trouble currently allocating the time to get in there and investigate the problem that we inherited when we got here. It had not been reconciled, and I don't know, we have to go back and try to isolate the past due items that are going back sometimes 5 years to figure out why they're there, where they collected, and if so, to get them written out of the system. But it is on our current project list.
It's just looking at these, the deficiencies. Many of these were outstanding or identified previously, and are still outstanding as of April 30th of 12. Appear that may still be outstanding today. So I think we need to, look at this list and address them, and take some action, and not just sit here and be here at the end of the 2013 audit saying, okay, these are still outstanding as well. And the bank recs, I think, is that one just baffles me. I understand there's adjustments because of some payroll activity, but one that should payroll should be monitored and reviewed as soon as the entries are posted. And management's response here didn't address the overall issue there. And as I said to Mr. Berg before the meeting, I've never seen an adjustment to cash before. I mean, that is just unacceptable. I mean, you know exactly what's in your account, and there's no reason for there to be an adjustment to your cash account. So I mean, that's a significant disappointment there.
Right, and we will note that at the beginning of January, with this list of bills, we are converting to our new banking, to our new bank financial institution and our new accounts, and it is our main priority that all of these bank recs are going to remain current, and there will not be any issues such as I inherited when I came here. I won't go into the specifics, but if anybody wants to have a little history of what we inherited when we came to the village, we are still playing catch up, and I know that seems like there's been enough time to fix that, but we are still uncovering daily system problems that occurred in the past, and we are doing our best to implement improved policies and procedures to correct those items.
Okay, are there any more questions or comments for the audit? Anything? If not, sir, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your expertise and your explanations. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
5 minutes?
Okay, item number 5, public comments and questions. To give as many visitors as possible an opportunity to speak, and in the interest of adjourning the meeting by 9, please limit your comments to 3 minutes in length unless further time is granted by the board. There's comments and questions on active or general matters. Anyone step up to their microphone, introduce yourself with your address to our clerk, and we'll go from there.
Good evening. For the record, I am Timothy Hinsdale, a longtime village resident and local business owner. I live at 1613 Kensington Avenue in beautiful Westchester, and I'm speaking tonight as a private citizen. I have 3 points that I'd like to raise, and I'll get right to the first one. On page 16 of the current issue of the Village of Westchester January 2013 newsletter, there's a nearly half-page coupon for the Northwest Housing Partnership promoting the Oxford Manor of Westchester. And my first question is the Village of Westchester a financial partner in this development?
No, we are not.
Okay, thank you. And do you know if St. Joseph is a financial partner in this development? Does anybody have that knowledge?
I think you should direct that question to St. Joseph High School. And
Okay,
for the
thank you.
record, it is not a coupon, it's a survey.
In this coupon, did the Northwest Housing Partnership pay for this coupon to be published? Was it an advertisement?
No, it was not.
Okay. The reason I ask is that on this large coupon, it does indicate that the Village of Westchester is a drop-off point for people who fill out this coupon. So I was just wondering if we were acting as an agent for this development in helping them solicit leads. Is that why it's a drop-off point? Why is that?
What I can indicate is that the last meeting they came here, they wanted to find out if there was any interest in the development.
Sure, I think that's admirable that the village would promote a development. In fact, I think, that's exactly what we're here to do. It's just that how far do we take it? I mean, the fact that the village is acting as a drop-off point for sales leads for this development kind of makes me believe that we've got a handshake here that's more than just a promotion. We're partnering with them to seek leads. I mean, why is, can you tell me why is the village named as a drop-off point for these coupons? It says here,
I believe it would be for the
dropping
ease,
off this form at the village hall.
if the ease of the people in Westchester that may want to downsize into a different location, they can
Sure.
drop that off.
Yeah, maybe a better location might have been an office for, maybe this development should open an office in Westchester if they're going to be doing business here.
Maybe
I mean, I think it's admirable that you want to promote this. I just think that in your inimitable style, you have gone too far. You're taking the role of promoting it to the role of being you're collecting sales leads for them. It's not right for the village to go that far. It's right for you to stand up at every public meeting and promote this and tell people what a wonderful thing it is for our village. But it's not right to be a collection point for information for a private service, which leads me to my next question. How can I get the Village of Westchester to promote my business? Could you please have people answer the phone, Village of Westchester, home of the village handyman? How can I get you to promote my private business? Because that's exactly what you're doing here. You've taken this too far. I think it's perfectly admirable to promote something that's going to be beneficial to the village. It's going to bring in tax revenue. It's going to bring in shoppers. It's going to benefit the library, the park district, and the school district. Well, not so maybe the school district since it's seniors, but it'll bring in tax revenue that will support that. But it's not the role of the village to collect sales leads for this development. Thank you for that. My second point is, how does the village collect past due outstanding balances for overdue water bills? Let me give you a hypothetical situation. So suppose I had a friend who had a business whose water was shut off for non-payment, but hasn't made a payment in the past 9 months. What steps does the village do to collect that overdue amount?
If a utility account goes past due, we turn off the water. And I believe the property you're hypothetically addressing, the water has been turned off since last summer. Once the water is turned off, and we have many properties in town that are in this position, either they're in foreclosure, they're having financial difficulties, the water stays off until the person can come in and make their account current, or if they're looking at selling the property, we do not issue a transfer stamp until the utility account is made current.
Thank you. That's a good explanation. And my final point is I'd like to congratulate Chief Padalecki on 30 years of service to our village. I think that it's really gratitude to have somebody who started here, rose through the ranks, and has become our chief. And thank you for your 30 years of service. I understand that the village honored you with a luncheon over at Stacy's Cafe in Bellwood, and I think it's a tribute to you that you've done this work here. Thank you very much, Chief.
You told me you were 29.
I see you're overwhelmed.
Anyone else? Sir, step up.
Good evening. I'm Bernard Woods. I'm a Westchester resident. I live at 1248 Haas Avenue. Lived here for 10 years, and I just want to say I'm glad to be a resident of Westchester. First of all, I'd like to commend President Puglia from helping a 103-year-old lady down to Hadlick, who helped capture a man who was stealing sewer cars. So I think we got a great team, and I want to continue to live here. But the reason I'm here tonight is because I'm being choked out, literally choked out of this town, and I don't want to leave. Today, I go down to Proviso Township to appeal my taxes because my taxes gone up substantial in the last 2 years. So I just want to see if I can appeal these taxes. So I go down there, and at one point, this lady, not only do they take escrow out of the mortgage, now it's August instead of October. So that gives us 2 months less to save in our escrow through our mortgage. But one interesting thing I was pointed out is that Westchester increased your taxes substantially, and I'd just like to know a few reasons why. In 2009, a Westchester homeowner was paying 6.2%. In 2010, she said it was 6.3%, and in 2011, it jumped up to 7.7%. Are some of these things, these increases due? I wanted to see if we got a fleet of police cars, or are we redoing the streets? I know that we had some liners done in the sewers.
You're talking about your total tax bill, correct?
Are you talking about the real estate or the
Yeah.
No, it's property tax bill.
property tax?
In August, you get the property tax bill that has all the explanations. There are probably 20 or 30 different entities that are charging some amount of monies that are making up that bill. So you're going to see Village of Westchester, you're going to see School District 92.5, you're going to see mosquito abatement, you're going to see Cook County, you're going to see High School District 209, you're going to see probably 20 entries on that, and then the amount that's multiplied, and then how the tax bill is generated.
It is itemized.
This is itemized, so you'll be able to see the increases, of all of the entities and what those increases are. Generally speaking, out of that tax bill, probably 13% of the bill goes to specifically the Village of Westchester for police and fire services. Then there's other portions. The majority of your bill is for school districts, whether it be 209 being the high school or 92.5 being the elementary district. Those historically in almost all tax bills are the highest pieces of those. So I don't know, looking at your bill, you'll see a listing for like last year and this year and whatever, and you could see the percent increase between each one of those entities, and how much is it they were raised. So, Janet?
Sam, I'd just like to point out, since I have the audit handy, for example, Mr. Woods, for the 2011 tax levy, 1.052, well, this is per $100 of equalized assessed valuation. Millions.
Mills, no, it's called 1.0.
Mills?
It's a mill rate.
Okay, it's a mill rate. 1.052 out of your total 7.226 tax bill went to the Village of Westchester. The remaining 6.17 were all other taxing bodies. And I will let you know that in the February newsletter that Ann Burkholder, the finance director, will be putting in an article explaining to everybody what piece of your tax bill goes to what what entity.
Okay,
So we'll have that in the February 1st issue,
thank you.
right before the taxes are due.
Yeah, we usually do that every year.
All right,
As well.
I just thought I just sent off a bell
Yeah.
raising up like 18% from 2010 to 2011. And 2012 hasn't even come out yet, so who knows
Right.
how much it's gone up since then.
And unfortunately, I know everybody's heard in the news all the talk about the state pension obligations and things like that, and we do incur increasing pension liabilities for both police and fire pensions, and unfortunately, that is driving up the tax rate somewhat, because the villages do have to fund their share of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
But I think, when you get home, take a look at the last bill that you got in August, not the March one, because that has the breakdowns on it, and you may be able to answer some of your questions or look and see maybe one up the most, and then try to figure out, in those cases, why it did. But there are a host of them on there. We have TB Sanitarium, Des Plaines Valley Mosquito District, Water Reclamation, Park District, Triton, High School 209, District 92.5, Library Fund, Village of Westchester, Proviso Mental Health District, General Assistance of Proviso, Township of Proviso, Forest Preserve, Elections, County of Cook. Those are all things that are on there
Choked out.
that are
Yeah.
each taking something, and some of those increase over time that ultimately then raises the rates
Right.
along the way.
And we are limited to raising our rates by a CPI that's dictated to us. The lower of,
Cost of
lower of
living.
5% of CPI. I know for the 2011 levy, the increase was only 1.5%, and for the 2012 levy that we recently submitted, it was 3%.
I
We're-
think
we're
it's
a tax
important to point out
cap
that the Village of
Yeah.
Westchester doesn't have the ability to tax you anymore. This is strictly based on a CPI cost of living increase. Unlike communities that are home rule, the Village of Westchester can't just impose another tax upon you. So understand that any increase that you're seeing there in the mill rate is done by the Cook County. It's not done by the Village of Westchester. They determine the mill rate based on the amount of revenue they need to bring in, and they account for adjustments in property values. So if your property value assessment went up and other people's went down, and there's a shortfall, they may increase that mill rate, which means you're actually getting kind of hit twice. But
So does Cook County actually tell us how many policemen we'll have, or?
nope, they just tell us how much money they're going to give us.
That's it, okay.
And how much money you owe, that's it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I would say make sure you appeal every year on your assessments, though.
Okay, I hope we answered that question for you, sir. Any other questions? Anything? If not, I don't believe we have any public hearings. Item number 7 on the consent agenda. We have items A through D. Anything need to be pulled out? If not, is there a motion and a second to approve the record of bills? The department reports from Public Works, Police, Fire, Community Development, approval of the minutes that are here, and also the ordinance approving amendments to Title 18 zoning, Chapter 18.32.
So moved.
Nick?
Second.
I'm sorry, Frankie? Okay, no discussion. Kathy, please call the roll.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurcheck?
Aye.
Mr. Fulia?
Aye, motion carries. Item number 8 on the active agenda. A, the resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of the master equipment lease purchase agreement with PNC Bank. This is for our High Ranger. Is there a motion and a second for
So
approval?
moved.
Second.
Tommy?
Second.
Wally?
We should talk about more finance stuff. That was fun.
I don't see the attached schedule.
The roll, please.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurcheck?
Aye.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Fulia?
Aye. Motion carries as well. Item number 9, managers report. Janet?
Okay, I have a few things to quickly note. Keeping on the property tax topic, I wanted to alert all seniors that your applications for your senior freeze exemption should have arrived last week in your mail. And you are required to fill those forms out and get those back to the county on an annual basis. This year, I believe they need to be submitted by February 1st to retain your senior freeze exemption. So it's very important to get those in on time. Again, we'd all like to congratulate April on her 30-year anniversary here at the Village, and hope she's here for at least a few more.
What, no plaque?
Next time. Great, ruin the surprise. Would like to remind everybody to save the date for Saturday, January 26th, to attend the Celebrate Westchester dinner to be held at Alpine House. Cocktails at 6, dinner at 7. You can contact Chamber Secretary Mary Backus for reservations. Also, as asked to relay that the First Community Church will be having a fish fry on Friday, February 1st from 4:30 to 7:30. Village Hall will be closed on January 21st in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. As always, the police desk will be, or police lobby will be open all day. Wanted to give everyone a brief update on our promotional video with Today in America. I did speak with our post-production producer, I guess she is today, and she said that the narrations by Mr. Terry Bradshaw should be completed by the end of January. Our project will then be assigned to an editor. We should have something to look at by mid to end of February, so that's not far off. Also wanted everybody, especially any business owners, entrepreneurs in town, to save the date on Wednesday, February 13th. We will be hosting members from Judy Bartopinka's office to present a presentation on their new initiative called the Power Program, which helps all business owners learn how they can compete and apply for state contracts. So they have an initiative to increase the contracts that are awarded to small business, and you can come out and find out how you can apply to do that. And that's all I have for tonight. That is Wednesday, February 13th. We didn't want to conflict with Valentine's Day for all you romantics out there.
Sam's got all the issues.
But we will have an article on that in February's newsletter as well, and we'll be doing a mailing out to our local businesses.
Thank you, Janet. Mr. Attorney, Michael, anything?
I just want to report that I was not responsible for crafting the title on item 8A on the active agenda. That was PNC Financials title. I did have the task of reading it and making corrections in it, but I didn't come up with their title, and I didn't want to mess with it. Didn't want to not allow the thing to go through and have to redo it. So that's all.
Board members, Frankie, anything on EDC?
We haven't met in probably 3 weeks. Our next meeting is on Monday.
Great, thank you, sir. Nick, anything?
Nothing new with 911. Police and fire met yesterday, as you mentioned before. We got the new member, so we're back up to the 3 that we needed, and they're working on some testing and some promotional in police and fire. So things are moving on.
Thank you. Wally on the Green Committee.
Nothing at this time.
Thomas on the CAB.
We have a meeting tomorrow, but we've been working on this welcome packet that's almost done. Molly's been doing a good job. And it should be up and running by the end of the month, so any new resident should be able to get it once they sign up for their water bills and stuff. It's got a lot of good information about it, about the town and everything in it.
Great, thank you. Holly, anything special?
Nothing right now. Something that we should consider is maybe I'll get a hold of St. Joe's and see if what's going on with their properties and stuff like that. If there will be another fest or anything for this coming summer. So I'm going to see what their thoughts are, if there's anything coming down, if they have a contract or anything, and if the board would like to do another fest, get a hold of the chamber and see what we would like to do. So in the next week or so, I will get that to you, Sam, and we can put it on the agenda and discuss it, okay?
Okay, I got a couple comments after. Brian, anything in the?
No comments. Just a question, Nick, do we make any headway on the sign?
No.
Okay. No comments tonight.
Well, with the sign ordinance tonight, now at least there's something in stone. Now we just gotta
go back to the drawing board. But at least now there's something in place, some rules.
Jumping
Not all the way
back to,
Just redraw a few lines.
to the special information, we were told pretty much by St. Joe's in a meeting that we had regarding their, the property, that it's not gonna happen this year on their property. What I would like to do, I think I've made this comment before, as far as having multiple events throughout the summer, maybe starting in May, working ourselves around. I kicked the idea around yesterday to Janet and to Molly, and what I'd like to do is get a partnership, certainly with Paul and the Chamber and Park District and all the entities out there to try to put some things together. So we're gonna try to get a meeting mid-month. I'm not sure health-wise where you're going to be.
Hopefully I'll be okay to get through that. If not, then I'll get you the ball rolling by making those phone calls for you.
Yeah, we need to, try to get stuff going. We were, thinking out, and this is just out of the box, that maybe in May we have some type of fiesta for Cinco de Mayo and get the parks involved, and they have, different locations, throughout the summer. One of the things I did want to throw out to the board is, if you would like, I think everybody likes the fireworks in Westchester. I'm not sure where we can have it. Last year's, I think, we had them by St. Joe's, but I know a lot of us were making the sign of the cross in that location. One of the thoughts I had was maybe approaching Mayor Tamburino from Hillside and maybe having a joint fireworks display, possibly at Proviso West High School, which certainly we are a feeder to that school, and hopefully get together and put some intergovernmental language together to have some type of fireworks display on or around the 4th of July, possibly at Proviso West and whatever. Now, I have not approached Joe at all, or the Hillside Board, and asked them anything about this. I certainly wanted to speak to this board first to see if you wanted me to follow up on that as a potential. I think there's a lot of ground land there. Last year, for most of our edification, if, the cemetery said we could not use their facility anymore, and one of the alternate locations that we were actually looking at was going up Fensel Lane to the Proviso West fence and using that maybe as a shoot-off spot. However, we were able to work with St. Joe's and have it on the end of their building. Although I don't think we all liked it there, we were less than 3 or 4 days away from the festival. So, so I think we have a little bit of time. I was just wondering if the board wanted me to continue in that vein and make those inquiries. Certainly with the school district involved, there's a 209 board. Maybe this is a way to, put us together with them, that they're interested as well, and we can support something in that regard. So, just a thought.
And, go ahead, Nick.
No,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love the fireworks. I think it's fantastic. We got a ton of compliments on it. People came from all over and said that ours were by far the best. And I don't want to see that gone. My only thing is, as the Park District said that they would not, my only thing is, if we could do it here in town and do it on, let's say, park property or something else, I just think that it's nice that if as many residents can watch it from home as possible, as opposed to, unfortunately, I know Proviso West is right on our border, but there would be a number of residents that would actually have to leave, as opposed to, by my house, they line up in the street, they sit on everybody's, they sit on the curbs and everything, and everybody watches. And I just think it's kind of nice when you can watch it from your backyard as opposed to having to go somewhere else.
Well, at the chamber meeting, we did ask about, say, Gladstone Park.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing you're going to have is the parking location, number one, and number two, the safety factor,
The homeless.
again, is out there.
Yeah.
I'm really concerned with, like I said, last year, I was sweating it because we were
Well, we were
so
right on top of
close
it, though.
to St. Joe's, to the houses that were there, that if there were any unexploded things that fell down or whatever, that, there would certainly be the issue and be the end of the fireworks pretty much forever. So in looking at that, I don't know where else we can go that has parking in the venue and the amount of cars that would show up. It's not like we're Oak Brook or Oak Brook Terrace that have, giant polo fields and parking around. I mean, one of the thoughts I had with, certainly Proviso West High School, you have the Sanford Brown College right there, you have the Union Hall there that has a parking lot. We certainly have High Ridge School as a parking lot. There could be some kind of shuttle thing or whatever the case may be to try to get people in and out of there. Certainly the school district, you have, the lot on the other side where CarMax is, there were certain lots around there that might, that we could utilize for parking for people to come, whether it's there or, from, Hillside or Westchester or whatever. Again, this is just an idea. I'm trying to keep the fireworks going.
Yeah, no,
I just want to know that, if there's another alternate location here, I'm all for it, trust me. But, maybe if you want me to ask, I will. If the board says, hey, it's a bad idea, then I won't. I think Paulie, and then,
Go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't know what the accessibility is to like the golf course, but it's a little bit closer. I don't know, but what parking would be, but that'd be another, potential where people could maybe park in Westbrook Corporate Towers and see it, and depending on how high they go,
You talking Fresh Meadows or?
either one of them.
Oh.
You got that outlet, but, further back by the driving range, it goes all the way back in that area, they can do it from there, and you can use the towers as the parking. Brian's got a good idea that way too. The bigger part is how much do we want to spend for all these events and what we want to do? So if we can get a budget together and say, okay, we have X amount of dollars to spend, so we can plan this all, go out, it would help me go out and get concerts or things, or, put things together for us. So I think as a board, we sit down and say how much money is available that we're willing to spend the first year, and see what we can do with it, So if we can get that out, and then we can surely go and find some location for the fireworks, even in the tower parking lot, on the 10 acres on the side of it might be better. So we'll see. But I do feel that money's more important right now to look at and what to do, so then we can plan on where we can get it and what we can do with it. So if the board would think about it, maybe the next meeting, we can, since we're starting our budget process, and say, hey, this is something we're looking at, potentially we want to spend $10,000 as a figure for the whole year, then we can work on it from there. Okay?
Yeah, there's, like I said, there's a number of months, there's plenty of events, we have movies in the park,
Right.
Battle of the Bands.
Right.
There's a host of things we can do.
Yeah,
Couple
long-
of vendors there to each, one of the venues, kind of split it up around town is my thought process.
Yep.
As it is now, if you miss the fest, generally, there's very few things that are the next month that somebody can attend for people in town to do. If you know what, we can certainly call the Highlands and see if they'd be interested in
I tried it
doing
once.
something there. I don't know.
We could also promote some of the other stuff that is already going on, like the softball tournament and stuff in May and stuff, and help make that a little bit bigger too, to draw more people out too.
Well, I think we're gonna put the meeting together. Paul's still on the chair. We're gathering other partners from the chamber as well, kind of like we did with the Fest Committee. It's just gonna be, we're not calling it the Fest Committee, we'll call it the Festival Committee. So we want a couple of things that are in the game. There's some people that are certainly interested in being a partner with that. As far as the fireworks, I have no problem asking these other venues if you want me to do these ones first, get an answer, yay or nay, and then go in that direction. Or you don't want me to go in that direction. I just don't want to be last minute like we were last year.
I think it's
groping
worth it.
for a location to have something.
Everything's worth it, Sam. It's just an ask. If we can get it, we get it. If we don't, we move on. We look into something else.
I would think that to get all, to get the, all you can right now, and maybe choose a location versus, waiting, like you said, don't go at the last minute. So I would say go ahead and pursue any and all avenues that you feel necessary.
Well, here's my fear. I think we need to eliminate, if that is going to be eliminated, places here before I go across the seas. Because if I go across the seas and go to the school board or go to Hillside, and they say yes, and then all of a sudden, oh, no, we're gonna do it at our towers,
Yeah, then you do.
that sends a bad
Just have
message, and
Jimmy
that's
find out
that's
what the
not a good thing.
requirements are for what they're, you know, what they're shooting and what the setbacks are, and then you'll be able to know right, you know, if it's.
I have a feeling though, if the park does agree with doing it in a park, if we're shooting them from a park, we're gonna have to close that entire park down due to the fact that we don't have a park that's, you know, big enough to shoot everything and then.
Have people there.
And have people
Close
there.
proximity of the houses on the
Yeah.
park is really, really
Well,
hard.
So we're limited there.
Well, we were blowing them off pretty close to houses
Yeah,
from
we
St.
did last
Joe's.
year at St. Joe's.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I think like if you look at Gladstone, you can blow them off right on the other side of the tracks here. You're up against a barrier, and if you had to put up kind of like the construction walls they do in the city when they're doing some of the rehabs on the buildings, it's like a 3-foot wall that covers anything that falls over. It's going to hit the wall instead of going out into the crowd. But
Referring, if you can allow me, referring to what Nick is saying, depending on the size of the shell is going to depend of the size of the perimeter for the fallout, as well as just keeping a safe area to keep the area secure. So that's something to keep in mind. And as far as a wall, you still have, the bigger the shell, the higher it's going to go.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so that's all stuff to keep in mind, definitely.
Where it's gonna land at.
Be nice with the park.
Well, we can certainly ask the park, we can certainly ask the towers, we can certainly ask the golf course in Westchester. We'll get those first, and then I'll report back, and if we get a negative response there, then I go in the other direction. So
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
that's where you want to go, that's certainly where we can go. I'd hate to see them go bye-bye, that's all. Okay, Miss April.
For the last several weeks before the holidays and now resuming this week, myself and Fire Chief Adams have been very busy doing some school safety reviews. And I'm happy to announce that we have a new officer who started the police academy just yesterday. He is at the Suburban Law Enforcement Academy at COD, College of DuPage, and that is Officer Joseph Rizzo, who you met last year, who was our first police intern. So we're happy to have him on board.
Before you go to Jim, let me just make this comment. Janet and I were at the Chamber of Commerce meeting today, and Gary Cassinos from the park had just come from a meeting with staff, and he was very thankful and appreciative that the police department is spending the time as a result of the tragedy in Connecticut to help the Park District and other school venues that have children, I'm going to say prepare for the worst, but at least find out information and what the limitations and things of that nature that they can utilize to better help protect the children in the schools and the park and the daycare programs as well. So he did want me, he did comment, and thank you for the presentation that you've been doing. So, thank you.
Two things. In December, we had 2 minor fires. I'm glad to report they were non-holiday related fires. So I'm glad everybody was safe. And fortunately, nobody was hurt and no major damage was caused. And then number 2, I'm very pleased to announce with much effort from my grant writer, Captain Labita, we were awarded the FEMA DHS Assistance to Firefighter Grant for a heavy rescue squad. This is over a $450,000 vehicle that we will only be on the hook for 5%, which we have actually budgeted for. So we're very excited about that. It was awarded on December 27th, and we were notified January 4th of this. Good thing about it is our ladder truck is almost 15 years old, usable lifespan of a ladder truck is usually around 20 to 25 years, so this vehicle is going to help take some of the wear and tear off the truck to hopefully make it last a little bit longer. In the cow, I'm going to discuss it a little further.
Thank you. Thank you for writing the grant, Jeff. Gregory.
Well, since we're running out of battery, I'll be real quick as well. First, I just want to thank Public Works Director for assisting me with a few things. He was actually, it's a good thing that we had just gotten our bucket truck received here, because we needed some work done with the exterior cameras, and to have that work done or have it outsourced would be somewhere between $600 and $1,000. So I was able to get one of the guys just coming off a break to get up and help me fix some of those issues we had there. So it's already been more useful for me than it is for him, I think. The other thing, really briefly, I've been doing some statistics on our website. I know I've provided numbers in the past, but just as a guide, prior to going to our new website, we'd been, had average traffic, but currently today we're getting about 5,000 visitors a month. Last month was 4. Previous months we've had some higher numbers, but in an effort to making sure that it's fresh and clean and has proper information, Molly and I have been going over some ways to keep that fresh and keep that information up there properly. I've also spoken with the website company, and there's some apps that are coming out that they're developing that'll work with our website, so it'll provide a cleaner look visually on the either an iPhone or an Android. Because we did notice that there was about 10% of all visitors that do come to our website, where 400 people a month do go through a phone of some sort. Yes, the chief did want me to make known that in doing the website review, outside of coming to the main page, that's typically how people get to our website, through a web browser. I'm sorry, through a web search engine. Outside of employment opportunities, the police department and the police blotter are the biggest visits on our website. Public Works does come in a distant fourth, about half of what the police get. But
Miss Annie.
As I think you are all aware, I had an email out this week. Budget preparations are currently underway. Department heads have been given the materials that they need to begin reviewing their needs for the fiscal year beginning May 1st of 2013. Tentative workshops for the budget are Tuesday, February 19th and Tuesday, March 5th. So if anyone has a conflict, please let me know. And with everyone's combined efforts, I'm optimistic that this year's budget process will be a little more smoothly run and yield cooperative results.
Thank you. Dave, you're up.
The Department of Public Works has been active since the last board meeting, fixing water mains, 6 since the last board meeting. We've got 1 ongoing this evening at Canterbury and Hydorn, as a matter of fact. As Greg had mentioned, we are in receipt of the new aerial bucket truck. We received it just before Christmas. Last Wednesday we had on-site training provided by the people that we bought it from, which was part of the purchase cost. We've had it out only 2 days so far. We've already taken down 10 ash trees. We've got 100 to go yet this winter. So we're on a good roll so far. The guys are very excited, and it's working out very well. We've got 800 trees in town that have been identified for removal over the next 4 years, and our target has been 200 per year. We've already had 70 removed by our contractor and 110 by us. So we've already taken 10 out. We've got 100 to go. We've also been active in gathering data for the 2013 street improvement program, which includes evaluating utilities, conditions. The next board meeting, I'd like to present a cost estimate with recommendations for the street rehabilitation program for 2013. We've also been active on a variety of internal building repairs and modifications. We've also received a number of applications for the Public Works Supervisor position, which the deadline was last Friday. I believe we've received 30 applications. The village manager and I have been reviewing those. We'd like to begin setting up interviews probably later this week or early next to start that process and getting someone on board hopefully early in February.
Great. Thank you. Melissa?
Well, we're getting back in the swing of things after the holiday, and we got sort of an early Christmas present. We had a pretty big permit that went out the door right before the holiday. It was for the HVAC upgrade at the Westbrook Corporate Towers. The permit was just over $150,000, so it was a significant permit for my department. I've been in contact with CMAP regarding the comp plan update. The steering committee will probably meet in early February. They're working on a draft of the comprehensive plan. And also, I'm working with the Plan Commission to start the process of going through the zoning code draft and going through updating the code. So we're probably going to be coming up with a schedule for that process.
Okay. Thank you. Kathy, anything? Nothing? Okay, I don't have anything.
Come on.
Whoa, he reported already.
Check the weather.
Come on, don't freeze over.
I'm being optimistic.
I think he should talk about his New Year's resolution.
No.
No.
Hey,
Why
are you
we all read it
encouraging
in the
to
paper
talk?
already. We're good.
I'm being optimistic.
Ground's kind of cold. Something froze over?
Kathy said your 3 minutes are up anyway.
Wow. Greg was going to post it.
I see that Janet would like to have an executive session for real estate acquisition following the committee as a whole. So if there's nothing else, is there a motion and a second to adjourn our board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Nick. And whom was the second?
Paul.
Paul.
Nick.
All those in favor of adjourning our board meeting this evening, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Please say no.
I just wait for somebody to tell me to wake up.
I like 2013, Sam.
I give it one more meeting.
8 days.